Welcome, welcome, welcome to a brand new episode of the Being Podcast, a safe space I've created for us to come together and discuss, empower, encourage one another, and for us to think about and tweak if we need to the ways in which we believe, engage, innovate, navigate, and gain in every area of our lives. I am your host, your girl Jada, and welcome. If you are watching me on the YouTube channel, I said last week I'm transitioning into some things, doing some new things, and if you're seeing it, you see, I'm kind of on a new journey, if you will. I still have some of my same sayings up here, but I just have more encouragement because we all need it, right? But if I am just in your ear, no worries. I still appreciate you for being here and allowing me just a few moments of your time this week. For those of you who celebrated the resurrection or Easter, I hope that you had a wonderful time and having a chance to just really think about the blessings that you have, all of your gifts and your talents that you have been given and poured into so that you can pour them out to everyone else. We had a great weekend. We went to the services. We went and did all the fun things. I tried to wear out my three little ones. And yes, all the candy, all the little toys, all the things, but really remembering what the day was about. And so that was really special for us. And so I hope the same for you if that was the case. So with that, I'm just going to jump into this week's episode. I am just still kind of flowing. Last year it was all about being bamboo. We're bending, but we're not breaking. And in that vein, I feel that I'm doing that. I feel that I am becoming more open, more willing to learn and be receptive to things that may not be my traditional way of thinking or doing things, and saying, okay, what is the lesson here? Or what can I use from that to make my life better and to help other people? So I'm still kind of in that vein, even with this podcast, as I continue to just come and share with you all. It helps me as much as I hope it helps you a little bit, just to be here in this space, right? Like in this safe space for us to really think about some hard things. Not only to think about hard things, but to also celebrate our milestones. And I will tell you that it's been a labor of love, not only this podcast, a labor of love with even like my babies, because we did IVF to have them, a labor of love of even transitioning this space in my home into my own space, to be able to create and to really get poured into the things that I need. And so I'm just excited. I hope that you're excited. We are now into spring, and that's another transitional moment, right? We're going from like the visions that we had, the dreams that we had, in the winter where we're just kind of thinking through things and we don't want to be out in the elements per se, and what do we want to get after? Or maybe it's okay, I'm trying to build my summer body in the winter time, but now we're into spring. So now we can really be working on those bodies and working on all the things that we thought about. And so this is a good time to do that. Like, what are the things that you want to accomplish? What is that one goal? I'm always saying, like, take it a step at a time. We can't, what do they say? You can't eat the whole elephant at once, right? So what are the things that's that one goal that you want to get after? And are you taking those steps? And for me, even in this space that I'm sitting in right now, it's just a matter of what did I visualize, which I did, and just to give you some context, right? So in our home, we have an actual office space and it's downstairs. And I had a couple of rooms upstairs. So when it was time to have my babies and we knew I was going to have a C-section, my husband was like, you're not going to want to physically be going up and downstairs. So he made it a point to make the office into the nursery. And so we had it that way for years, right? Because I had my oldest and I knew I wasn't quite done. And after having to convince him to come along and let's try another round of IVF, and we did, and we were blessed with our twins, we kept the room kind of the same. So here recently, I had been like, oh, we should do bunk beds. And he's like, yeah, somebody might jump off or get pushed off. So we kind of, okay, we're thinking about it, but we're not quite ready. But I was like, okay, I need them there, and then we can transition from the, because I am definitely done having babies. I love the ones I have. Thank God for them. But I was like, okay, we're ready now. So we transitioned that room. And so then I'm like, okay, you got to move your stuff back down and then I can have my own. So what am I saying all of this for? I'm saying that it starts with our mind. Like, what are we envisioning? What are the goals? What do we want it to look like? And then what are we doing to take the steps to get there? And for me, it's what am I thinking of? How do I articulate it to myself and like break it down where it makes sense? And then how do I communicate it to him so he can be on board? And that's what has begun to work for me and my house. So I'm like, all right, I'm calling these people. We're gonna get some internal movers. We're gonna do this. I got the other people coming to set up the bunk beds. Da 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 da. And so we worked together. It wasn't all me, but we worked together. And then I was kind of the logistical person to make it, kind of come to fruition. And that's the case for anything that we do. Like, what is the goal? What is the thing that we want to get after? And then what are the steps that it's going to take to get there? And then having the right community around you to encourage you, right? So I started envisioning this space and I'm like, what do I need that to be? Not only for me, but people that I want to share with, i.e., you and anybody else that y'all send this to. Thanks in advance if you do that. But what do I want this space to be? And so I've started to put the things together and even like putting my hands to it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to get the pieces of furniture that I want in here that's going to make my life more efficient and more effective. And then me like actually putting it together and laying it all out and okay, I got all of my pieces, I got my tools, okay, do one piece while the kids are up here playing, do another piece where I'm like, you're gonna have to watch them so I can get this done. But having that sense of accomplishment too. And that motivation of like, okay, let me keep going, let me put it together. It feels good, right? But it's starting with that dream, that vision, that need, that want, that desire, all of that, and then communicating it and figuring out, okay, what pieces do I need to get there? And then doing what I said my words are this year, right? Like executing and being disciplined and like taking action, basically is all that means to make it happen. And so that's the thing in all of our lives and anything that it is that you're trying to do. And maybe you're stuck, and I get it, right? Because you can be stuck in any of the phases, but especially if you're like at the beginning, you're like, okay, this is what I think I want it to be. But you may be stuck because you're trying to be on Pinterest all the time, right? Like, what do I want it to look like? Okay, it has to be perfect. No. Okay. So get past that stage. Or maybe you're stuck with, how do I articulate to other people how I need them to help me to reach the goal? It could be that, or it could be, okay, I have all this stuff and it's sitting in boxes. But how do I actually execute and make it into what it's intended to be? And again, that can be across any part of our lives, right? Whether you're going back to school or maybe you want to change careers, like how do you learn that stuff? For me, I actually passed the course portion of my real estate because a few years ago when my parents were sick and I was busy doing that, I missed the state exam by 3 points. And so I was like, no, Jada, you got to do it. And so, yes, in my procrastination, I put a lot of undue pressure on myself, but because of my village and because of, again, having a plan on how to execute that, I was able to accomplish that. But now it's the next part. And so for me, I'm like, what does that look like? How does the timing work? I know when I have to have it done. I know I don't want to put that pressure on myself again. So how do I backwards plan? And so that is now on my board for the next one of the next goals that I have. So I'm just kind of sharing some of my own personal things. Just want you to kind of think about what are the things that you want to get after. Again, it's so much, right? Maybe you want to write a book, or maybe you want to cook more, or maybe you want to find um efficient ways to spend time with your kids, because we're going, if you have children, because we're going into the summer, like what are the things that you can do for that? For spring break, I think I mentioned that I took my babies up to the zoo, and it was a beautiful thing. And again, it started with a thought, and then I communicated it to my husband, and I'm like, and I communicated it to my kids because, they are definitely going to hold you accountable. So I was like, I want to take them to the zoo. I want to take them to the aquarium. These are a couple of things, activities that I think would be good for our family and to create memories. And so they were ready to go. And so it kind of forced me to do it, even though I knew I was, but it's easy sometimes to think great things, and then when it's time to execute, you'd be like, and give yourself a way out. And I am not doing that anymore. And I challenge you not to do that anymore. Like if there's something you really want to do, or maybe it's something that keeps coming up, then it's something that you should probably take some steps towards and trying to see, how can you accomplish that? So, took them up there to the zoo. It was wonderful. We are still talking about it weeks later. Probably till we make it to the aquarium when it's really hot. So these are just things and goals and ideas, but it starts in your mind. I'm always going to go back to our mindset. It starts in our mind. So it was a thought that I had communicated. I'm like, okay, Jada, what are you going to have to do? Because I knew it was going to be primarily on me, right? Logistically, it was going to be on me. That's fine. Communicated it to my husband, my support, and the babies. And then it was like, all right, we're going to make it happen. And I did communicated it to the people at work, like, hey, I'm gonna have to take time off because I'm going to do this. So again, just sharing examples of how it starts here in our minds and how we communicate it and then how we execute. And we then keep getting the momentum because we are accomplishing the things that we've set out to do. So I just want to touch on that, just kind of keep sharing with you all the transformations that I am personally experiencing, the transitions that I am personally experiencing, in the hopes that it resonates with you. And also share this with somebody if you believe that it will help them, because that's what we do. We pour into ourselves so we can pour into other people. And with that, I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will be back next week. All right, y'all.